All right. Hello, everyone. It is Nancy, and it's Thursday morning on our regular talks that we have every single week at 7 a.m. here in the Pacific Northwest. So it is afternoon or evening, or maybe even the middle of the night for those of you who live in different parts of the world. I'm just giving you all a little bit of time to pop on. Hello, Heather from YouTube. So I'm live on Facebook and live on YouTube. So I'm going to say, you want to kind of take your hands and put them in your head and go, because this is going to be another consciousness expanding talk. I did hear from a few of you last week about the conversations that we were having about the galactic core and the great attractor and Shapley's cluster of galaxies. And it was just like people were calling and saying, whoa, what the heck was that? So if these talks can inspire you to think beyond any limitations that you may have in your mind, then that's exactly the intention that Spirit has to wake you up. Now, today's talk is going to be exactly the same: destabilizing mental health in an awakening world. Destabilizing mental health in an awakening world. So what's happening is that we have these minds that think a certain way, but as the frequency of the planet is rising, it's starting to cause this kind of destabilization, not even just personally and how you think, but how your household thinks, how your community thinks, how the city you live in thinks, how the world thinks. Everything is getting destabilized and starting to crumble apart. So my name is Nancy Rebecca, and I teach professional psychics. I also teach intuitive development in very precise ways, and my website's Intuitive Mind. Okay, so we have loads of you coming in on YouTube. So good morning, Heather and Amy. Hi, Colleen. Is it Zubida? I'm going to say Leanne. Hello, everyone. Good morning, Dawn, and other Facebook users. Thursday from rain refreshing Fairmont, BC. So that's awesome. Awesome. So at first I was thinking, let me just tell you. So this week I've written about 5 pages of notes. This eventually goes into my blog post. I don't always talk about everything that's on this piece of paper on Thursday mornings. Why? Because we have 30 to 40 minutes. How are we going to fit it in? But mostly, again, it's all about just kind of inspiring you to maybe look at life in a different way. However, I woke up this morning fairly early, about 4:30, and I was meditating, and I asked Spirit a simple question. And that simple question was, what is consciousness anyway? It was kind of that simple consciousness. And then all of a sudden, a whole different flood of information came through, which are my little pen to paper notes that I wrote another 5 pages on. So I'm probably going to go with more of these that aren't as organized, but I'm going to touch on a few of these. So good morning. So everyone, you can get your pen and paper. What are you drinking this morning? I had my regular coffee cup that I love to drink out of, but it was a mermaid morning. So I grabbed my mermaid cup because this is what we're talking about: expansiveness. And what is real anyway? What is an illusion? What is truth? What is hidden? What is being revealed? So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. Good morning, Kim. Hi, Donna and Catherine and Rebecca. All right. So destabilizing mental health. I am a registered nurse too. I didn't throw that in the bag. So many times when I'm thinking, I have to tune in. Do I have my nursing hat on, or do I have my spiritual consciousness hat on? And I will tell you, sometimes I'm in one camp or the other, and hopefully I can blend the two in this talk. So, in my career of 28 years, I've looked at over 20,000 human energy fields. And in that time, I've learned a lot of patterns and things like that. But I'm not going to talk to you about all those patterns. I'm going to talk to you more about the frequency that's going up, that's challenging our behaviors, that's challenging our patterns, and challenging us to shift in a really quick, rapid, fast pace, which a lot of us are not too happy about, me included. So as a registered nurse, I've really been concerned about the mental health in the world, which is this kind of next global pandemic. And we have waiting lists to see therapists, and we have no one to really kind of talk to about what's going on. Everything is kind of revolutionized through Zoom and things like that. We don't hardly get a chance to do human connections. So all of those are contributing, but in kind of my backyard and my arena, when we're talking about clairvoyance and consciousness and psychic seeing, that's where I feel like we're getting the most, we'll say, bombarded, the most illuminated, and can cause your brain to twist the most. So in 1998, when I was working with a teacher, so at that time I'd had an out-of-body experience. My eyes were wide open. I could see the spirit world at the same time. I could see the physical world. I could see your aura. I could see your chakras. You've all heard me talk about that before. I still do. It's just how I'm built, and I'm not the only one in the world. I will just say that. And I remember my teacher, Mary Ellen Flora. So you can look her up in Everett, Washington. And I can't remember the name of the website. I'm sorry, but if you just Google her in Everett. So she was my teacher. So what she was always saying is, in the near future, we will be going through such a rapid awakening. Now, this was in 1998. She said this. We really need to step it up. Our personal work and preparation. Do you know what it's like to go to class several times a week and be told you're not working fast enough? You're not working fast enough. You're going to regret it if you don't consciously work fast enough, because by the time we get to the future where things are going to take off like a rocket ship, you're going to wish you had worked fast enough. Well, I work with a lot of students now. I know you just can't go faster than you can go, right? And your mental, emotional, and physical health needs to come with you. Now, there was another book that I read in 2005. I wrote the note somewhere else, but it was a Tibetan Rinpoche. It was a woman who stated, we as humanity should be doing our personal internal transformational work as if our hair is on fire. So again, this was this other sense, this other, trusted spiritual individual who's saying, yeah, what's coming up now is going to be happening so rapidly. You really need to prepare. So people have been talking about this for years. But where are we now? Now we're here. We're here. And what's happening is, what I think is super exciting is here I was trying to really work really quickly, walking through 10 feet of mud. So just imagine that, like the vibration frequency almost 30 years ago was just like moving sludge, moving through mud. So the benefit that you all have is it's much lighter, it's much brighter. So when you go to shift, it can shift more effortlessly and easily with great accuracy and speed. Doesn't mean that our bodies aren't still needing to kind of go along, but I just want to let you know, if you didn't know it or not, we're living in a different age now. So it is easier, but you still have to do your work as if your hair is on fire. Okay. So with both of those messages, I continue to make sure that I just wake up every day. And even when I don't want to meditate, I make sure I get that time in. It is a high, high, high priority. And that has never changed. All right. So when I was looking at, kind of mental health and what we teach in our Western medical model, we're talking about the signs and symptoms of stress. So I looked up, what is the current knowledge? What is the current conversation about our mental health crisis? And they talked about signs and symptoms of stress in adults is physical, sleep disturbances, loads this week, loads of sleep, can't sleep, waking up early. All right, generalized ache and pain, tension headaches, intestinal cramps, diarrhea, heartburn, constipation, muscle tension, shortness of breath, loss of libido, vulnerability to colds, flus, and infections, psychological, anxiety, fear, racing thoughts, irritability, constant worry, feeling hopeless, helpless, impatient, feelings of doom and depression. All right. Behavioral issues. So this is the current, what's really coming up to the surface when you look it up online. Eating disturbances, increased conflicts, arguing, isolation, neglecting your responsibilities, doing loads of alcohol and drugs, job instability, conflicts with workers, your employers, road rage, domestic violence in the workplace and at home, nervous habits like biting your nails. So I was like, all right, that's cool. But what about the spiritual consciousness? What's happening when you're faced with seeing life a certain way and suddenly it changes? So when I had my out-of-body experience, the only way I've described it over all these years, it's like if you've ever seen the back of a pocket watch, it's got all those little gears and tons of gears inside. It was like those gears fell out of the back of the watch, landed on the table. There's 50 different parts, and I am rapidly trying to pick up those pieces and try to figure out how I can get them to fit together again. It isn't possible. It wasn't possible. And this is what's happening now. All of our gears, everything that we have in our mind that's kind of, working together like a well-oiled machine. And then the frequency rises on the face of the planet. You're able to see a level of consciousness you weren't able to see before. And now your mind is starting to fall apart. All right, so now I'm going to switch to my notes from this morning. That was a pretty good nutshell, wasn't it? Okay, so Spirit had me do 2 glasses. I was trying to find dye so you could actually see the water, but these are 2 glasses. So this is your subconscious. The Spirit told me this. So, okay, this is your subconscious and this is your consciousness. So if you are really kind of not aware, not awake, if you are totally subconscious, this is this glass, you have no consciousness in this glass, all right? So what Spirit explained was subconscious. So what is not revealed to you, what is hidden will be revealed. But let's say that it's not revealed to you and you are living from that state of pure unconsciousness, pure subconscious. Spirit said it's like standing in a house filled with furniture and trinkets. But when you're subconscious, you can't see anything. You can't see one thing in that house. It's like you're standing in the house and you're the only one there. And Spirit was saying this is like, that borderline personality, or what's the famous, overly used word, narcissism. Everybody's a narcissist. Everybody's pointing fingers. You're a narcissist. No, you're a narcissist. And I'm not saying narcissism doesn't exist, because we're trying to pop open, bring conscious the intense, hardcore ego in the world. So, yeah, we're probably going to express a lot of narcissism. But you can't see anything except you in the room. Only you. You can't see any furniture around. And as it gets illuminated into consciousness, you are able to start to see the big picture. So if all the water was in this glass of consciousness, you would be able to see all the furniture, the big picture. Everything in this one, you can't see much. So consciousness, what was my note here? Oh, did I lose it? So, oh my God, it was a really good note too. I gotta find it. Oh, here it is. Spirit says, being conscious does not mean that you're good, loving, and kind. So being conscious does not mean you're good, loving, and kind. What it means is you are seeing and experiencing everything as it is in this moment. That's consciousness. So a lot of times we think, we're expanding our consciousness, we're awakening our consciousness. And the thing that fools everybody is they think they should be feeling more happy, happy, joy, joy. And that's, you can still be really conscious and still sometimes feel like crap. Okay. Guys hanging in there with me this morning? So the vibe frequency, as it raises, more of what is in subconscious moves to the consciousness. So we're going to just move a little what's subconscious into consciousness. So now what is here, what has been hidden, will be revealed. So now what was subconscious is now conscious. So we have this illusion that the crashing waves on the shore cannot move you. So this is where our ego is right now. It's like we can't be moved by these massive waves of consciousness. And you're standing there as you get battered around by the waves. And it's like, yeah, you're being moved by this massive movement of awakening. The barn door is already open. We can no longer continue to contemplate, I call it contemplating our navel, whether it's real or not, or whether awakening is happening. And so the barn door is open. You are being moved by these waves of consciousness. And the illusion is that you're not, or that you are too small. So, yeah, Eric, technology has raised our frequency. Yep. How do we take time out of our busy lives to go back to our physical bodies? Good question. All right. Okay, what has been hidden? So I had a dream 3 years ago, and in that dream, a tsunami was coming. So tsunami is that huge wall of water after an earthquake. After the earth moves, this big wall of water, we'll say of consciousness, is racing to the shore. In my dream, there were people standing on the beach, and they were just standing there, very catatonic. They weren't moving, their eyes weren't blinking, their mouths weren't moving. They were just standing there. And I was running up this hill so that I would be out of, above the water when this crash kind of happened. But I'm screaming in my dream, I'm screaming and yelling at everybody, run, run. It was like, come up the hill, come up the hill. And they just stood there. There was this frozen aspect. They couldn't move. That's your subconscious. So in your subconscious, remember, you can't see the furniture. You can't see what's around you. You can only see yourself in that room. And there's nothing else, but all that furniture, it does exist. It is influencing you. So as every piece of furniture moves to consciousness, comes into view, now you must decide where you're going to place that piece of furniture. Now suddenly you see it. You couldn't see it before. When you have limited coping, you're not quite sure what to do, you're going to place what has been hidden, what has been revealed, you need to place it somewhere. So this is where it kind of comes into the mind, where the term is called compartmentalizing. So it's like, all right, I'm going to move that piece of furniture into that room. That looks like that's going to be a good place for that to be. And then as each part comes up, each time what subconscious comes into the consciousness, now you're seeing things that you didn't see before. The things that were hidden in your life are now revealed, Now you've got to decide and determine what to do with it. Now, let's say you have a relationship and suddenly you see the truth of that relationship that you could never see before. Or maybe you see the toxic workplace you used to love and you couldn't see that before. So now you're trying to figure out with your mind what you're going to do with all of these pieces. So a lot of times, again, you can compartmentalize to be able to cope. What's happening is we have so much that is unconscious coming into consciousness at a rapid pace. It's like the whole furniture store just became awake all around you, and you're so overwhelmed, you don't know what to do with it all. So that's how Spirit wanted me to explain the subconscious, the unconscious versus the consciousness. So what's happening right now is the frequency and the vibration rapidly increases. We are being flooded with what has been hidden is now being revealed. Often I'll do a meditation, and in my meditation, I'll ask Spirit, show me what I'm not willing to see. Show me what I'm not willing to see in myself or in my life. But it used to be in the beginning, 30 years ago, I don't want to see anything. Don't show me anything. I'm afraid of what is behind that wall. I'm afraid of what is hidden. So this is where we are right now. But what's coming up to the conscious level, we're trying to figure out what to do with it. So when that rapid into consciousness happens, that glass of water fills and suddenly you're just flooded with consciousness, but you're mentally saying, but wait a minute, I haven't moved the couch yet. Wait a minute, I still have to move that chair. Wait a minute, that lamp, I need to figure out what to do with all that. And that's where the cogs and the wheels just can snap. They can just fall apart onto the table, and now you don't know how to put them together again. So your mind compartmentalizes it. So the least you're able to cope or come up with the ability to handle your stressors in life, the more overwhelmed it's going to be, and the more you may compartmentalize things. So again, the water goes, the glass of water, from what's unconscious, subconscious, you can't see the furniture, to now suddenly you see the whole furniture store, and suddenly. So in the old days, I'm going to say 30 years ago, the old days for my life, what was, or anybody's life at that time, it would just be like a trickle, like a little drip of unconscious to conscious, unconscious to conscious, unless you had a full-blown mental break. And then it's like everything's exploded and you're trying to put things together again. Kind of like Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses, all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. So this is the issue. It's like, let yourself break, let yourself fall, let yourself crack, let those compartmentalized walls fall apart. However, I'm going to put a little kind of warning, caution sign here. I'm not talking about people who are mentally fragile. It's, who need more of that support system. For those of you who need to build up your coping mechanisms, I'm talking about just those in the day-to-day life that are kind of handling family and work and all the different things. The walls are dismantling. The walls are coming apart. More of consciousness, the light is flooding those rooms that maybe didn't have walls or doors before. So Spirit says your walls start to crack and collapse. So destabilizing mental health and awakening world, what does that even mean? So the fuller the glass, the greater the influence in your life. So we're going to go back to the unconscious and the conscious. Remember, we started off with your unconscious glass full of water. that's going to influence you the most. So the more you have in below the surface in your subconscious, that's going to influence your life. The more you have in consciousness, that's what's going to influence your life. And in the world right now, here in the United States, it's 50-50. Half glass full, it's 50-50. And each side says they're the conscious ones. So who's right? Who's right? I don't know who's right. I like to think I'm right. They like to think they're right. We all like to think we're right. But be willing to be okay with being wrong. Be willing to be okay with being wrong. Yeah, I'm talking about the whole dam breaks. The Spirit's talking about this. The fuller the glass, the more you're influenced. The frequency is rising, 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 rising. As it does, you're no longer able to compartmentalize. Because as more of your light comes in, we'll just say your brain, your mental stability, as more of your spirit comes in to provide mental stability, it melts away those compartments. Now, let's say that you had an event that happened in your life and you've got it tucked away in a nice little room somewhere on the back right side of your brain. And now suddenly the light, the consciousness dissolves at those walls. Then what was subconscious becomes conscious again. So all that means is, oh my gosh, I get to look at this. I get to live with this. I get to decide what I'm going to do with this. And so that's what's happening. But it can cause temporary mental instability in our awakening world. So when you have ascension symptoms, it just simply means that what is unconscious is becoming conscious. You feel sick to your stomach? Something that was unconscious is becoming conscious. You feel anxious? Something that's under the surface is wanting to come to the surface. So remember, it's about reframing. It's about getting excited. It's like, oh my God, I've got a migraine. Something that's unconscious is becoming conscious. So then you support the migraine because you know that the energy is shifting. You know those rooms are getting flooded with your own soul's light. I looked up, the big woke culture. So I hear about this a lot in the news, and I didn't know what it meant. So I looked it up. And it means to be informed, educated on social injustices. So I thought that was interesting. That's what woke means. Being overly politically correct. So that's what woke means in our current culture. So who determines the injustices? Well, we can see it playing out in the news right now, that everybody thinks they're right in what justice and injustice is. So the bottom line is you're awakening to truth. Okay, let me just throw a few truths out there as I know it, which may not be your truth. So Spirit then told me it's already out of the barn door. The barn doors are open. It's already out. So what has been hidden is going to be revealed. So, A, spirits exist. There are people who don't believe spirits exist. The spirit world exists. Dimensional planes exist. Angelic beings exist. There's a higher source, the great creator exists. And then there's things that are not so pleasant and harder to deal with negativity or maybe destructive type energies. They exist. I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm going to tell you, a lot of my students, they want me to talk about the good things that exist, but they don't want to talk about those things that also exist that are maybe a little scarier. But the bottom line is the barn door's open. The next thing Spirit said, star beings exist. There's no there's no debating it. They exist. But until your consciousness kind of catches up with that, and my consciousness is still catching up with that. what do I say? Co-conspirators. I love that. Yes, Ghost Town is an excellent movie. I was just talking about that, Eric, the other day. Aliens exist. What do you think about that? Oh my gosh. When I talk about messing with your head, that messes with my head. I was talking to Yvonne the other night and I'm like, how many years? It's not like I didn't think aliens existed, but the thought of even thinking about aliens existing was really uncomfortable. And it's still a little wiggly here in 2023. It's still a little wiggly. But remember, what has been hidden is being revealed. It's coming to the surface. And oh my God, you know, there's a lot of information that was conscious that was hidden. So barn doors open. Barn doors open. This is what Spirit said. Unicorns exist. Mermaids exist. Wi-Fi exists. Do any of you remember before Wi-Fi? Like you couldn't have conceptualized that. Wi-Fi exists. Artificial intelligence exists. The barn door is open. It is off and running. Did you know that I was reading something the other day and it said Albert Einstein's IQ was 160. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant man. We could read his material forever. We couldn't conceptualize it then, but because you're more awake, you can conceptualize it now. But this article that I was reading said by 2025, AI's IQ is going to be 1,000. So human IQ 180 to 160, AI's IQ is 1,000. Will we be influenced by that? Yeah. Will we influence it? Yes. It's out of the barn door. So having a light body, creating a lighter body is already out of the barn door. You're already creating a light body. So the Winchester house, do you guys remember that? There was a movie about it, but the Winchester house, she became very mentally unstable and she kept building these rooms. And some of the rooms had no doors and windows. So this is what we're talking about. You have built, not you, but a lot of people in the world have built compartments, have built all kinds of rooms. And those rooms are starting to collapse and you're starting to see the fullness of who you are. Talk about relationships. Let's say one of you starts pulling the furniture out of the room and the other one doesn't want the furniture in the room. Put that furniture back. This is what's happening in relationships. Some of you are saying, well, look at all this furniture we already have here. And the other person saying, what furniture? So it's in your relationships, you may find that divide getting larger where more of the conscious glass of water is full and your friends or family or workmates, more of their unconscious glass may be full, but it's moving. It isn't, you can't stay stuck. You can't stay at the edge of the water and not get crashed by the enormous waves of consciousness. It's just happening. There's nothing you can do about it. All right, this is going to be the last thing I'm going to say before we do a little meditation to move some compartments. Spirit talked about then the flowering garden. So the seed is like the subconscious. The seed is deep in the earth. The seed can only see itself within that shell. The seed doesn't know that anything above the earth's surface exists. The seed only knows it exists. And then that seed, something triggers it in the subconscious to start to grow, to start to want to grow. It starts to grow, moves to the surface, grows up, and then blossoms into this beautiful flower or beautiful tree. But what was interesting, Spirit said, when the flower's in full bloom, it doesn't know that the seed existed, and the seed doesn't know the flower existed. So this is that kind of dividing line that's getting narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower. And both are beautiful, right? The seed's beautiful. The blossoming flower is beautiful. So I already said what has been hidden will be revealed. Ascension symptoms are a result of what you are moving from the subconscious to the conscious. So I have people say, how come I get so sick? Or how come I feel terrible all the time? How come I'm sicker with ascension symptoms than someone else? Well, at times it just means you're moving more from the subconscious to the conscious. So it's like, it's exciting, something to get excited about. So we're going to move some walls. Remember that Berlin Wall that had been up for a long time, and you've got two sides, very different worlds, and then the Berlin Wall finally came down. So I'm going to put a little note of caution. I'm also going to put it's like, just be cautious, tread cautiously, because some of you, me included, who still has some walls and compartments in this head of mine, it's just not time to open that door yet. It's just not time, because remember I said, what Spirit said is you need to have that coping ability to consciously work with what has been hidden that's being revealed now. So we're going to pretend in our meditation that there are some walls, and you're just going to ask that the walls that are ready to be moved are going to light up as gold. And then you're just going to look at that wall and allow that wall to dissolve. If it's not a golden wall, we're just going to let that sit to the side. You're not going to move those walls yet. But what Spirit said is, as more of your spirit descends, remember the fifth dimension is coming down into the third dimension. The third dimension is not going up into the fifth dimension. The fifth, according to Nancy, I'm talking like I'm a world expert here. I am a world expert in my own world. You have to be a world expert in your own world. But Spirit tells me, in my world, fifth dimension is coming to the third. When that happens, walls naturally dissolve. And then you become one mind with Spirit, and you become fully conscious, which is a beautiful thing. And that's the direction we're heading. So you promise me you're going to be discerning. I'm going to talk about this on a live platform. I want you to be discerning. Okay? You're an adult. You can make the best decisions for yourself. So someone asked, does AI have emotional EQ? I don't know. I don't know anything about AI except what I know, what I've been researching, which is this much. My IQ of 23 when it comes to AI compared to AI IQ of 1,000. I don't know. Ask AI. Go to Chat GPT and ask. Oh, okay. I'll just tell you one thing. So I was playing with it. So I asked Chat GPT, how are you feeling today? Hi, good morning. How are you feeling today? And AI came back and said, I do not have feelings. So I can't properly answer that question for you. However, I can provide any research material that you would like right now. So do you have another question? So we'll just leave that at that. Okay, let's go ahead and just take a moment to close our eyes and turn within. And say hello to your body and chat with your body just a moment to say, hey, what has been hidden is going to continue to be revealed, but I have your back and I'm going to take good care of you as you awaken to higher levels of consciousness. So just assure your body that you've got its back. Nice. Now say hello to your higher self, your higher wise self. And ask your higher wise spiritual self to help walk with you during this great time of awakening in a way that helps you maintain mental stability. That your mind will desire and want to awaken. Ask your spirit to help your mind to do that moving forward. Now we're just going to ground our mind. So go ahead and imagine, first of all, a grounding image. It can be a tree with roots, or it can be anything you want it to be. So first ground your energy field in your body to the center of the earth, and imagine and pretend that you're wrapping your consciousness around the magnetic core to help stabilize you physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Remind yourself of what today's date is. So just let your body and spirit know what today's date is and how old you are. Bring the date, present moment current, and your age current. Nice. Now I want you to pretend and imagine you're going to add some stability to your mind. So you can add a chord or like a root system, a color, but just imagine that your mind, and your mind can be your whole body, but most of us as humans think of our brain as our mind. So just go ahead and ground your brain, your mind to the center of the earth. It's just going to help add stability to your mind's brilliance. Now imagine within your mind that you have rooms and compartments. And some of you may find you have a lot of rooms. Some of you may find, hey, I only have 3 rooms here. So you're all going to be different in how you organize, right? How you what kind of file system. Is your file system the kind that's like mine, where all the papers are stacked up on the desk? Or do you have a nice file cabinet with everything labeled perfectly? It doesn't matter. Just stabilize your mind, your brain. Notice the compartments, and the ones that are lighting up as gold, you're going to just bring them into this present moment. You're going to remind that compartment what today's date is and how old you are. And you're going to bring in a large ball of golden cosmic energy to just start flowing through the top of your aura, through the top of your head. Let it rinse all the way down your aura and your grounding as you start to dissolve some of those walls. Because what's inside the walls you had already brought to consciousness, but then you walled it off. So it's already conscious to you. So as you're dissolving some of those walls, it will add to your already great spiritual awareness. Move through this exercise consciously. What I mean by that is don't barrel through knocking down all these walls. Be conscious. Ask the wall, is it time for you to move? Ask your spirit, is it time for me to move this wall? Is it time for me to leave this wall? And then go on to the next one. What is, as you release the walls, that old energy is draining out that you no longer need, and the seeds of your bloom remains and blossoms. So the old shell dissolves and the blooming flower of your consciousness opens. So just let whatever needs to drain out of your brain, out of your mind, that only serves to limit you. We're just going to let it go down your grounding. We're going to take about 30 seconds more of quiet. All right. We will say that that is enough for now. Thank your body. Thank your spirit. Be gentle, gentle, gentle with yourself when you determine when you're going to revisit this again. And check in. Should you wait a few days, weeks, or months before you go back in and dissolve those walls? Whenever you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. And again, this might take you a moment to kind of come back to this awakened world. I would love to have you write in what your experience is. And often by the time the call is over, most people go on with their day and they don't come back to write it. But it's really helpful for me to know what your experience was, because Spirit brings through this information. Yeah, if it's helpful, we'll use it again. One more thing has to do with the summer solstice event, the group reading that's going to be happening here on June 18th, this Sunday. Today is the final day until midnight to get the VIP, the bonus package for that event, which will mean you will get 16 little mini readings, plus you'll get an event on Saturday and an event on Sunday. So midnight is the last day to sign up for that. However, all the way through Saturday, you can still register to join me live on Zoom on Sunday, June 18th from 3 to 5:30. So you can click the link here below and learn more about it. All right, everyone, Have a great day at work. Would love to hear back from you. And I'll see some of you this weekend, and then we'll be back again next Thursday. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.